Hello? Hello. Here I am. I am alive. Guess what, guys? We are having a special event today. The Living as Magic, or the Dream Business event inside this Living as Magic group, officially starts tomorrow, but something extra special happened. The universe lined itself up for me. Something extra special happened before starting this event officially, which is the fact that my email sequence said that the event started today. And so the big aha here is that I had the time and the space and my calendar all lined up, and I decided, here we go. It's perfect. Let's ramp up the energy. Let's get started. So I'm just going to take a minute and drink my magical special blue water. And then we'll dive in. I've been drinking this every day, and people keep asking me what's in it. And it is sparkling water, a little bit of salt, and methylene blue, which is really, really incredible for oxygenating your blood. I'm feeling all the magic in my veins and my cells. All right, let's dive in. Part Alice in Wonderland, part mad scientist. I want to talk about what this means. So, the purpose of understanding yourself truly in life and in business as magic serves the spark. It serves the energy. It serves the frequency that you get to show up with every single day in life. And it gives you access to the spark that's going to fuel everything else that you create. So I want to tell a story about when I decided to live as magic. And the reason why this story is so important to my journey and why I love telling this story is because I feel like so many of us have had an experience in life where we're at a crossroads and we make a decision that changes everything. And my decision to believe in magic was that pivot point. It was that absolute transformational moment. And I think at the time, I didn't understand what it meant. I didn't understand what it was going to change in my life. And so I love to share this because I want to hear, if you have had one of these moments in your life, what this looked like for you. But this happened for me about 11 years ago. I had essentially created a life that was 100% built from dreams and desires when I was really, really young. So I don't know if you have this similar story, but when I was like 12 years old, I had a dream. And my dream was to become an executive chef. Like, I loved cooking. I was obsessed with the idea of being able to not only just make beautiful food, but how amazing it would be to be able to create experiences for other people. I had this pull in me that was just so focused towards that goal that I never ever questioned it. I actually only questioned it when I was kind of like getting ready to leave high school, and I thought to myself, I really want to do this career, but there's this other career that I really want to be a part of as well, and I didn't know which way to turn. This is another pivot moment like the one I just shared. These things are pivotal. Like, I remember thinking, I want to be a fashion designer. There was these two tracks. I want to be a fashion designer, or I want to be an executive chef. And the pattern in me, or the automatic response that I have in my system, I still see active to this day, because in that moment when I was deciding to either pursue a career in food or a career in fashion, I decided and I chose food because I thought it was more practical. So this must be the Virgo in me, or this must be the very grounded side of my nature that dances with art and inspiration, as it always has and will. But I chose to go down this other direction because I felt like it was more achievable. I just felt like, well, everybody needs to eat, and not everybody not everybody needs to wear like designer clothes. So if I'm not successful at being in the fashion industry, and I don't make it because it's got to be really tough and really competitive, and I don't know if I'm gonna be good at it. Like, I don't know. It's just something that I love, that I feel passionate about, but I don't really feel like it's 100% done deal. But I know that I can be successful in the food industry, so I'm gonna go after that. Well, I made that choice, and then I spent 20 years pursuing it. So I did achieve my task list. I did knock all of the boxes, or tick all of the boxes on my desire to create this, dream business. It had been my dream, okay? So I want to really stress that, because I did not ever have the life that was like, well, I'll just go after this career because it sounds like I'll get a great 401k and a good salary and it makes sense to me. Like, there were decisions in the practicality of me choosing to be an executive chef, but it was not coming from this place where I had no passion around it. I mean, I was genuinely passionate about both of these career tracks. And I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to invest all of this time, if I'm going to invest my life in creating a career, it needs to be something that I'm passionate about. And it needs to be something that I'm not going to get bored doing. So boredom was a big factor to me. And I thought, well, I know that I can always access delicious ingredients. There's so many different types of food in the world, so many different spices, so many different recipes. Like, certainly, I could never be bored being a chef. So I pursued this, and I ended up becoming an executive chef of a white tablecloth restaurant in San Francisco at the age of 25, which was very early on in my career and quite astounding and incredible. I did end up creating a butcher shop, or I did end up opening a butcher shop that was very well, like, we got a lot of press, we got a lot of customer, like, we were well welcomed into the industry in San Francisco, and that was huge for me too. I wrote a book. I also ended up creating a nonprofit, so a national organization. So I kind of moved from this, like, I wanted to do the thing, and I got the thing. And then, of course, when I got the thing, there was something else that needed to spark my creativity, because I ended up kind of getting bored at the repetition of, even doing a monthly menu change, and being well respected in my industry didn't quite feel like enough to keep that creativity going. And so I opened a butcher shop because I thought, well, I can learn more, right? I can learn more about the industry that I'm in. And so I went into that. And then I thought, well, now I need to mobilize a community of people who are passionate about the same industry that I'm in, right? Like, local food is so important. Local farms are so important. So I really kind of moved through this track of being somebody who set their sights on a business, going into the business, going into different facets of mastery in the business that felt important to me, that were passion and purpose focused, and then mobilizing a community and educating. And when I got to the end of all of that, I felt flat. I felt flat. I felt like I didn't know who I was anymore. I had been working so hard for so long to create a version of myself that was really career focused, really hustle focused, like going after it, getting after it. And then I kind of sat back and thought, well, I don't feel like there's anything else that I want to do here. um, I even tried television because I thought through one of the iterations of my pursuit that maybe being like a chef on a cooking show would be another up level for me. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur, right? So I was an entrepreneur since the age of 25, so I wasn't waiting for somebody else to promote me. I wasn't waiting for somebody to be like, oh, you're climbing up the ladder. Here's the next step. It was like, no, I was promoting myself. I was promoting myself through the businesses that I started and kept starting and the projects that I inspired for my ideas. And like, what was the next thing? What was the next thing? And so I ended up at the end of that. I was like, I don't think there's anything next. I actually tried television and I hated it because I realized that like, you're shooting a show, but on a 1 hour television show, you're in the studio for like 16 hours doing like takes and restating the same thing 5 different times to get it right. Like, I didn't like it. I was like, nah, that's not the vibe. Like, that is a lot of work. And honestly, I don't know. Like, I wasn't feeling the reward. mm. The dopamine hit wasn't hitting on that one. And so I got to this point where I was just like, well, I don't know what's next. In fact, I can't even imagine what is next. And this was the most comfortable feeling I think that I have like endured in a transition phase. Because I had spent so much time, so many years of my life, like investing in building out this career, when it was time for me to shift, I actually felt like I didn't have any other skills that I could translate into another industry. Like, I wasn't seeing it in that way. And also, I had been an entrepreneur, so the idea of getting a job and working for somebody else, or even starting at the bottom of a new industry and like climbing my way up to the top, I just thought, God, why would I do that when I have a lot of freedom in this career? I make decent money, but I just feel miserable inside. Like, I am so stressed, so burnout, so unhappy, and my body is really suffering from this lifestyle, from how much I have to work, like the hours and the weekends, and the fact that I never got to like go to my kids' birthday parties, for like their friends' birthday parties. I didn't get to go to the barbecues and the holidays, even, because restaurants serve food on the holidays that all y'all are celebrating, right? So are the busiest days of the year. It's like never ever having a New Year's Eve off. Things like that. So that was just one of those moments where I didn't have any more answers. I didn't have any more answers, but I was thinking and I was cooking and I was obsessed with this, like, what is it going to be? And when I got there, what I realized, I think deep down inside of myself, was that if it was possible for me to create my dream business from an idea that I had at such a young age. Okay, so, a 12-year-old shouldn't really be making business decisions for adults because they're not thinking through the whole way. But I loved the fact that I realized that I could achieve what I dreamed if I just put my focus on it. But I thought to myself, well, I'm not paying attention to something deep down inside of me that is giving me direction that feels aligned with who I am fully, right? So I started to define that as my multidimensional self. Okay, so you got to like track the logical thinking of me because I have quite a bit of it. So I'm thinking, well, there are dimensions of me that I just can't see. And that must be the reason why I've created so much. And it's all really amazing. But part of me doesn't feel fulfilled by this. And so if I am multidimensional, then I need to start paying to all of my dimensions. I gotta feel into the energy. Like, I gotta feel my soul. I've gotta start living in a different way. And when I did that, the obvious next step for me started to come to light as spiritual searching. That's what made sense to me. And I made a decision in this moment before I started pursuing study on those topics, because I was not a lifelong spiritual seeker. I was raised in a fundamentalist Christian home. And in fact, like, I had turned away from religion and spirituality at, the adolescent years of my life because I felt so constricted and restricted by it, and I actually just couldn't stand the rules and the programming. I mean, I rebelled so hard against all of that. And so in that moment when it was time for me to come back to some version of that, I was able to recognize that it was lacking. I was able to like feel that emptiness because the shell version of myself that I was experiencing felt very depleted and hollow. And I thought, I need to fill this back up. And so this is what I told myself, I'm going to believe in magic. And I remember when I said it, laughing about it. Like, I was like, it's a joke. But even if it's not true, even if I'm just literally creating a fantasy in my own mind and saying to myself, I believe in fairies, I believe in dragons, I believe in all of the creatures that delighted me when I was young, the fantasy that I loved when I was a kid, I'm going to believe in all that again, because back when I remember what that felt like, it felt mystical, it felt magical, it felt like it was full of potential, and there's something in there for me. So I'm just going to believe in it. It doesn't matter if it's true. I don't care about that at all. In fact, my choice to believe in it was quite logical in my own mind. At the time, I was like, it's just going to shift me out of this funk. Like, I need to have some fun with my beliefs, because the ones that I've had have not been working for me. And as soon as I made that decision, I started to see magic all around me. I started to see the opportunities where art in particular gave me access to this in-between realm of potential and possibility. And I found that my search of mysticism and esoteric teachings and mystery school teachings and personal growth teachings and mindset, and I did a ton of self-development, I've done everything that you can probably imagine, or at least dabbled in it in some form over the span of those 10 years. And it really was a saving grace for me, in the sense that it gave me that altered state shift that allowed me to see how I could begin to imagine a new path for myself in business. Because ultimately that's what I was searching for. I was searching for a way to like completely recreate my life. Not just the career, but like where I lived, my partnership, the way that I felt about myself, the way that I treated myself, my relationship with my kids, like everything had been kind of sucked dry of life in me, and I didn't know where to go. Like, I really, really, really had no idea what to do about it. And this belief in magic started to hold me to its promise. It started to test me. And I stuck with it in the same way that I stuck with my dream of becoming like an executive chef of a fine dining restaurant. I stuck with my dream of believing in magic and the belief, the vision, the purpose that I had set my path on to change my life. And so I went into it just as hard as I went after everything else because, I think that's just kind of how I'm wired. I have this heat-seeking missile energy when I have a goal, like when I can see the target. There's part of me that just hits it and hits it and hits it and goes after it. And I don't always nail it, but it's a journey and I know that I'll get there. And so I began to explore and experiment. I began to try different ways of using my creativity to move into the online space. I knew back in 2011 when I started my online community that I wanted to be in the online space. I wanted to have that freedom. I've always had this kind of like 5 or 10 year trend spotter energy. I don't even know that I'm aware of it at the time, but I'm just like, that's where we're going. I knew, 10 years, easily 10 years, 12 years before people really started to shift online, that is where not only industry was going, but where it was going to be a very good investment of my time to start to learn how to do online business strategy and get really good at this. And I've spent a long time in this space. And so I started to kind of experiment and test out, try on, and see what I might be and create in this space. And it wasn't until 5 years ago that I decided to actually step out, to come out and try to create something here. And then it wasn't until 2 years after that, so about 3.5 years ago, that I went all in, so that I left behind my old career and decided that this is what I was going to do. This is me. And so the reason I tell this story, because the topic of dream business, creating a dream business, is not only something that I think that I've been passionate about since the day I put my foot in this planet. the day that I planted my little baby foot on the earth is like, I've been excited about creating here. I've been excited about ideas. I have been excited about potential. I've been excited about doing life on this planet. But the part that I was missing for half of my professional career really, really was the magic. And I help a lot of my clients with both of those. And I will say, two, I feel very separate things, right? Because we all have magic, but we don't have to be in business, right? We all have magic, but we don't have to be entrepreneurs. The business of magic, doing life as magic or living as magic, is the ways that you can infuse that into everything that you do, no matter whether or not you're in business. And that doesn't take those two, states into separate directions. But the reality is if you are an entrepreneur and you want to share your magic with the world, then understanding the purpose of magic in your business is extremely powerful, because magic is the invitation. Magic is the spark. Magic is the energy. Magic is the way that you understand and know what it is that you offer in the world. And I found what it is that I was to offer in the world through my belief in magic. And it was not an easy journey. I want to say that too. Like, I have never found the study of magic to be simple. I've never found the study of, or the commitment to creating from my soul's potential to be the easier path. I actually think it's the easier path to let somebody else tell you what to do. I think it's the easier path to study somebody else's magic and not know your own. I think it's the easier path to, to believe limited things about yourself. But the conversations that we really want to have with ourselves are always about limitless potential, because that's the truth of who we are. That's the truth of our soul. And that truth of our soul is actually a very different vibe than the truth of your human potential. Your soul has a frequency. Your human vibrates. So your human vibrates in its capacity to execute and walk out the frequency bank that you have available to you, the wellspring of potential that you have available in you. And it's your ability to be tapped in, to stay tapped in, that allows you to accelerate, create incredible things, and do what is unimaginable, right? It also is what allows you to fast track your growth. So I can say that in, 15, 17 years of really hard, steady pushing in my career, the places that I've been able to get to in 5 years, leading from my soul's potential, because of the work that I've done, means that what I've done in 5 years would have taken me 15 years before. What I've done in 1 year is what would have taken me 5 years before. So every time that I'm moving through an alchemy in me or a new way of knowing myself, I'm collapsing time, I'm accelerating my journey. And the combination of magic and business does that for you. So what I want to leave you with today is a bit of a homework. I want to hear what you would define as your magic. And the reason I started this this chat today with part Alice in Wonderland, part mad scientist, is because that would be my magical avatar. That's how I would describe the magic of my avatar. So when you craft your magic avatar description, use something really descriptive that isn't like, I'm a psychic, or I do XYZ. No, it's a vibe, it's an energy, it's a perspective, it's how you operate. Like, me in my truest, purest state is like tripping on psychedelic consciousness drugs while I'm totally sober, drinking my my very healthy water, working like a responsible adult. Like, I'm not out there doing drugs. I actually don't like that vibe at all. I did enough drugs for everybody when I was in my 20s, or my mid 20s. Like, I've done it. I love my clean energy, and pristine. But the vibe, like the magic that gives me access to that creativity, to that spark, sees the dimensions everywhere. It sees the crackling, sparkling potential. It sees the edges of reality with a glimmer on them. It sees, roses winking at me. I shared a story about this the other day. Like, I am interacting. When I remember to stay fully tapped in, I'm seeing a veil, right? Like a layer of magic over everything that I see in my life. Okay, so I've got psychedelic rose-colored, kaleidoscope glasses on. That is me in my magical state. And then So moving beyond the vibe, when I'm fully expressed, when I'm in that energy, when I'm joyful, when I am connected, when I am like, oh my God, life is so good, life is so amazing. And then at the same time, I am full on mad scientist, tweaking out, architecting, building, 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 building. And these two states actually create a little bit of a mad woman vibe. Like, I have to say, like, I don't want to say it fights in me, but there's something about it that creates the friction that lets me get things done. And I have to, excuse me, and I have to check it. Like, I gotta, like, Tia has to be like the easy going, well regulated, chilling down the middle, like chilling down the center, because those two energies, both of them, are just tripping the fuck out. Like, honestly, I promise you. And so it's actually my character in the center. Like, the habits, the tools, the support that I have in my life, the relationships that I invest in, my boundaries, okay? Like, all of those things are like the chill Tia in the center that is actually utilizing both of those states and not collapsing under the weight of that magic. Because this is something that I don't think everybody talks about, that loves to talk about magic and potential. It actually carries a really big energy. It carries a huge potential of energy, and you need the structure. You need the structure in the center to support it. Otherwise, you are consistently creating and abandoning yourself. But you can have fun doing it when you get all the pieces to kind of lock in and click together. And this is what I learned. The me in the past, before I decided to believe in magic, was on a track of success. I was on a superwoman track. I had people tell me my entire career, oh my God, I do not know how you do it all. From the outside looking in, they would say to me, you are a superwoman. You are amazing. How are you so successful? You have a kid, you own this restaurant, this butcher shop, you wrote this book, you did this thing, you're always showing up at community events, you're out there in the industry. Like, I was everywhere. I was, shaking hands, walking on stages, doing radio interviews. Like, I was just wheeling and dealing. I was out there, I was killing it. But inside, I always thought when people would tell me, oh my God, you're like a superwoman, I'm like, yeah, but you don't know what it feels like to be me. You don't actually know what I feel like inside. And if you did, if you knew, you wouldn't be jealous of me. You wouldn't actually look at me and think that it was something to look up to. Like, I get that it looks great on the outside, but inside it does not feel great. And I think that me swallowing that, me like feeling that and pondering that and thinking to myself, like, how is that possible? How did I do this? Is the thing that allowed me to find what is that inside. What is that inside that's going to make me feel like all of this is the thing? Because that's what I was missing, was my magic. And my dreams are big. So when you are creating a dream business, you got to have access to a version of you that can dream as big as your magic, that feels fully supported, that understands how to draw from that in between state that I mentioned, the state where I can like see all the edges glistening, where I can feel the electricity in the air, where I can grab the opportunities that come my way and know what to filter out. And the me in the center, you know, the 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 chilled version of me is the one that needs to be, leading in companionship with this other vibe. So before we come back tomorrow, if you're catching this or if you're watching this later on and you want to share with me who your magical avatar is, how you would describe that, you can either put it in the community where you are watching this now, or you can send me a note. You can always find me on Instagram in the DMs, on Facebook. You can reach out to me. I really want to hear from you. Send me an email at magic@sinatia.com. I want to hear about your magic. I love nothing more than not only mirroring back the potential that other people have in the world, but to witness it, okay? Because when we find ourselves in rooms with people who can truly see our magic, it sees us back. When we can truly see our magic, when we can put when we can define it, when we can taste it, when we can feel it, when we can interact with it, when we can be a part of it, it sees us back. That magic mirror comes to life and we get to walk through the looking glass, okay? Because the Alice in Wonderland vibe, like we walk through the looking glass into an alternate dimension of potential and possibility where things are strange and weird and upside down and not like they are, not like we were told they were. This is a really powerful metaphor, and so you find yours, share it with me, and remember, we're going to have so much fun here in these in these workshops, in this energy, but like really, really remember and ask yourself, when is the moment when it shifted for me? Am I willing to be in another one of those moments right now? Am I willing to activate and ignite that moment in myself and go for the bigger, better, more aligned, more touching and reaching the sky of my dream, right? No glass ceiling, just magic mirrors that we're going to walk through. So I hope that you love this. If you are catching this down the road, say hi to me. I would love to connect with you, and I will see you back in here for day 2. Bye.